Yo, and another question with Connor. So this one says, what happened in your life while you disappeared from the rap game for a few years? You know what, that question is very interesting because even in those years that for y'all I disappeared, I was still creating music. So the years that I wasn't as active as I had been prior were the years that I was signed to Interscope Aftermath, right? So when I got signed, it was very rule with the iron fist. There was things that I could not do. When I first got there, I was told you can't do interviews, you can't do EPs, you can't put out singles, can't do this. It was just a long list of you can't. And at the time, I was so green and new to the business, I didn't want to ruffle any feathers. So I did exactly what I was told, and so what was going on in my life, it was actually a very tough time in my life. I love creating. I love y'all. I love putting music out. Whether I regret the music 2 years from now or whether I still love it 2 years from now, I'd like to be able to have that option so y'all as the fans can grow with me. I'm not a fan of like holding on or hoarding music or anything like that. I love to put music out. So during that time period, it sucked for me. And I had to actually go to therapy because it really was messing with my mind, where it's like, okay, I'm in this situation where I want to be in, but I'm being told to do things that I don't necessarily agree with, and it's now affecting my mood, it's affecting my psyche, it's actually making me not love music anymore, having to listen to all of these rules and guidelines that come along with being signed to a major label. So during that time period, I was still creating music. Even in the time period that y'all wasn't hearing from me, I was still creating like 7 to 15 records like every 3 days or every day, every studio session during that time, it was at least like 5 records being made or 5 ideas being made. So you times that times however long I was missing. So it was 5 records like every day still even in that time. So that's why I had to deal with like this acceptance that the perception that y'all had as fans and as the people who were supporting me is like, what happened to, or why did he stop, or whatever. It's like, but in my perspective, I never stopped. It's just I wasn't allowed to put out the things that I was creating at that time because I signed a contract. And that was what was going on at that time. And dog, I was in therapy. I was calling home. I was having people have to talk me off the ledge. All of that type of stuff. It was a very difficult point in time in my life. I don't live with regrets or to say that I wish I didn't do this or I regret that, because I think everything that you go through teaches you and it makes you stronger and it builds you up for whatever that next phase of your journey is. But at that time, it was just very difficult for me because I was still creating music at the same rate that I had always created music, but I wasn't being allowed to release it because I was signed and I was being held to a contract that I signed. So it was just in my personal life, it was very difficult. And like I say, it was really bad. And I'm actually gonna talk more about that time period in my life on Counterculture TV. I'm gonna do a whole show called, well, I'll talk about that later. But yes, thank you for asking that question. But during those years, yeah, it was very tough, very rough, a lot of therapy, a lot of venting to close friends, and a lot of trying not to jump off the side of a fucking mountain.